Hello, in today's video we'll be replacing the rear brake pads and rotors on this 2009 Cadillac CTS-V, which is basically the same procedure for any 4-piston Brembo brakes. To get started, you'll want to lift and support the vehicle with a jack and a jack stand, which I've already done. After removing the wheel, we can begin removing the 2 pins that hold the brake pads. For this we'll need to use a pin punch and a small hammer. You'll want to hold the pin punch directly in front of the pin and tap it lightly with a hammer so it drives the pin back. Once you tap it back about that much, you'll want to push down on the bracket as you pull out the rest of the pin. You'll want to do the same on the second pin, but this one should be easier since it doesn't have all the pressure from the bracket on it anymore. Now we just slide the pin and the bracket off, or have it fall like this one did. Now we'll have to compress the caliper pistons in. On these normally you can pull back on the brake pad and it'll compress the pistons in a little. Or you can lift the brake pad up a little and angle it against the rotor to compress the pistons in the remainder of the way. With that side done, you'll want to repeat on the other side to compress the remaining 2 pistons. Whenever you're compressing calipers, you always want to keep an eye on your brake fluid reservoir so it does not overfill as your fluid travels back into the reservoir. Here's a closer look at the pistons. Well, the inner 2 pistons are completely in, but the outer 2 seem to pop out a little when I compress the inner ones. I'll take care of that when I get the new brake pads on. Now to remove the brake caliper, we'll need to remove these 2 bolts. And for this we'll need a 13mm socket and a ratchet. We'll loosen this first bolt by turning it counterclockwise. Once you get that one loose, you can switch over to the bottom bolt and do the same. And we can go ahead and loosen this one till we got it holding on by a thread. I had to switch over to a short socket to have enough room to get the bolt out. Now with both of the bolts just hand tight, you can hold up the caliper as you remove the 2 bolts. And you will notice that the upper bolt will be the longer of the 2 bolts. Once you get the caliper off, you can just set it out of the way for now. Now to get this rotor off, we'll need a T30 Torx bit to loosen the screw. Once you get the screw off, the rotor should just slide off as long as you don't have the parking brake on. And these are the small brake shoes that the vehicle uses for the parking brake. And here we got our new rotor with new Hawk brake pads. At least these rear brake pads didn't come with a leaking brake grease pouch like the fronts did. Before installing any new rotor, you'll want to remove any rust protective coating they may have by using brake cleaner. And for this, all you need is a light spray with the brake cleaner and wipe it off with a towel. And you'll also want to do this on the other side. The surface for the parking brake is painted, but I do the same on there too. With the rotor prepared, we can go ahead and install it. And following that up with the hold down screw. And tighten it with the ratchet. It doesn't have to be that tight. Now we can install the caliper plus the 2 bolts. You'll want to make sure that you get them threaded on as much as you can by hand before using the ratchet. Followed by the lower bolt. Once you get the caliper on, you can remove each bolt individually and put a couple drops of blue Loctite on the threads. And we can now bring them down with the ratchet. And the lower one as well. Followed by torquing them to spec. Let's go ahead and prepare the brake pads. I'll be using the supplied brake grease, but if your brake pads don't include it, you can also use the brake lubricant that I use on the pins shortly. And what we want to do here is lubricate where the caliper pistons press against the brake pad. You can use the old brake pad for reference. You'll want to do the same for all 4 brake pads, but for now I'll be showing you the 2 pads that I'll be using. With the brake pads prepared, let's go ahead and install them on the caliper. I needed to compress these other 2 pistons, so I used the old brake pad pressing against the rotor to push them in. With that done, let's get the other brake pad on. After wiping down the pins, let's lubricate the contact points with brake lubricant. Before getting the pin on completely, you'll want to install a retainer clip. And now we can push the pin in as far as it goes and tap it in with the hammer. Let's go ahead and lubricate the other pin. To get this pin on, we'll want to push down on the retainer clip as we slide in the pin. Now we can tap in the rest with the hammer. Now to get these pins completely in, you'll want to use the same pin punch from earlier and tap them in a little from the back. You should notice that they went in a little further. And if you get behind them, you'll notice the pin sinks into the caliper, which is why you want to use a punch. At this point, I like to press the brake pedal a few times so the pistons contact the brake pads, because last thing you want to do is drive off without doing this. And with that, our brake job is complete. All that's left is installing the wheels and torquing them to spec. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and informative, If you did, please click that thumbs up button to support my video and my channel. And please subscribe if you haven't done so.